this little guy right here, he's familiar of the story of Brendan, Dassey, Stephen Avery. I told it to him that 2 guys are in jail for something they didn't do. And he's only 4, but he understands and he's crying. And he's so upset. Come on, Gerald. He's heartbroken. It's really sad that this is going on. You know, this is a child crying because of Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey. You wouldn't believe that in society that's supposed to stand for justice, that something like this is going on. That a sheriff's department has framed innocent men and ruined their lives.
As you can see, it's a beautiful Saturday morning here in London. It's 11 AM. We're going to get started on the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey demonstration. We're outside of the US Embassy right now. That's where the demonstration is kicking off. Worldwide support for these guys. We're showing you our support here in London. People are starting to arrive already. Police have been very cooperative. They said they're not going to arrest us for being out here in our orange jumpsuits. So let's see how many people show up.
My name's Jennifer Holden. I'm from the Wirral by Liverpool. I started this petition because I have a child who's also quite mentally vulnerable, and when I saw Brendan being coerced and confession and he was totally alone, it just broke my heart, and I just felt like I had to do something. This petition is to enact a law which I'm trying to start off in Wisconsin, in America, to protect vulnerable children and even vulnerable adults from being interrogated by law enforcement officers, which happened to Brendan Dassey. He was coerced into a false confession, and I'm trying to enact a law to stop that from happening.
What kind of comments are coming in from around the world on the petition?
They would really like this law enacted because a lot of them have vulnerable children themselves and have stated that in their comments, and they wouldn't like it to happen to their child, nor would I like it to happen to mine.
What brought you here today, Kaylee?
Well, I first watched Making a Murderer back in January. I'd heard a lot about it, and I sort of cajoled my boyfriend into watching it. And I really connected with Brendan in particular. Because,
Brendan?
Yeah. We're the same age, we were only born 2 weeks apart.
Right.
And it just kind of struck a chord of all the kind of rites of passage that I've managed to go through in life that he's missed out upon, really. Obviously a lot is made of his mental situation and stuff and how that was unfair, but being the same age as him, I also thought to myself, even if that had been me, a quote normal person, I don't think I could have withstood that kind of pressure. You know, repeated interrogations, being torn out of school multiple times over just a couple of days and interrogated for hours and hours without my mum, my dad, or even a solicitor.
So coming out here today, do you think there's any hope for these guys? Is this going to make a change?
Definitely. I mean, the famous quote that everyone keeps bandying around, you know, injustice anywhere is effective justice everywhere.
Yeah.
That is true, and I also think, you know, you're judged by your friends, aren't you? America is our biggest ally as a country, and if we stand by and condone the way they're acting, they're not going to change.
And what are your thoughts on prosecutor Ken Kratz?
Again, we're not past 9 o'clock, so I can't say my true thoughts, but I honestly don't know how he can sleep at night, both on a personal level and the type of things he's done to people. You know.
He's still practicing law?
I know, and he still defends himself, and he still just shows no remorse whatsoever. So I don't think there's any hope for him. There's much more hope for Stephen and Brendan than him, in my opinion.
We'd like to see Ken Kratz be held accountable. Sadly, we don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, if only we could put this guy with Ken Kratz.
American justice? Shit!
Here with Miriam Margolyes, Harry Potter star.
No, Margolyes.
Margolyes.
Get that right.
Start again.
And learn how to spell it. Learn how to spell it.
Margolyes.
No.
No.
It ends with yes.
Yes.
It ends with yes.
Okay, Margolyes.
Margolyes, and it's spelled Margolyes.
Margolyes.
It's wrong on the website. That's got to be changed.
I'm here with Miriam Margolyes, Harry Potter star. Come out today to support Brendan Dassey and Stephen Avery outside the US Embassy. What made you want to come out here today?
I watched The Making of a Murderer, and I realised that there had been a gross miscarriage of justice, and I couldn't bear it.
Yeah.
So I felt I had to do whatever was available to me to do to fight that miscarriage of justice and try to get the American legal system to wake up and change things so that these two men can be released from their false imprisonment.
What part of Making a Murderer affected you the most?
The questioning of Brendan Dassey by those two local policemen, leading his words, making him say what they wanted him to say. And this was a lad who is educationally challenged, who has real problems, and they were using his disability to secure a false conviction.
Can't get much lower than that, can you?
It is utterly disgusting. I believe the reason for it is because they didn't want to pay the compensation to his uncle for the wrongful imprisonment that he went through of 18 years. And the whole affair brings such shame to America that every single American should be outraged and fighting, as we hope to do, to change things.
Very well put. The UK media has been very supportive, but a lot of the American media are now saying that Netflix has left stuff out and these guys are actually guilty. It seems preposterous to me.
I absolutely refute that. And I think that whatever the facts of the case, the evidence was procured in an extremely suspect manner. And that has to be looked at again. The judge appeared to me to be shockingly biased and showed his bias. And the evidence was obtained in a thoroughly peculiar, suspect manner. And I believe that any lawyer looking at that would be shocked.
If a woman's been raped, murdered, tortured, there's going to be blood splatter, there's going to be DNA all over the crime scene, and there wasn't a shred of credible DNA evidence anywhere.
And the prosecutor said, well, that was because they cleared the site and cleaned it. It would be impossible to clean it to the level where there were no spots or stains at all.
And his basis for saying that they'd cleaned it was because Brendan Dassey had some bleach on his jeans, which obviously meant they'd been using bleach to clean the crime scene.
No, it doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up at all.
It doesn't add up.
No.
And I think it's also a class matter. That the Avery family, who seem to me to be thoroughly decent and just people at the rough end of the scale, are being discriminated against. People calling them trailer trash and so on.
Disposable people.
As if they don't matter, as if their lives are unimportant. And it's just not acceptable to me.
Well done, Miriam!
To get from the US Embassy to Parliament Square, I jumped in a taxi with Miriam Margolyes, documentary producers Chris and Connor, and my friend Ben. We were all pumped up. We got talking to the taxi driver as he hadn't watched Making a Murderer. Well, he tried, so we ripped him apart, especially Miriam.
Right, we've moved the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey London demonstration over to Parliament Square. Behind me we've got Big Ben, Houses of Parliament, beautiful architecture, and we've got all of our supporters speaking to the police at the side over here. I'm here with Ben, who's come along for our Making a Murder demonstration for Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey in Parliament Square. What's brought you here today, Ben?
Well, Shaun, as you know, my history as a former prisoner involved police corruption.
Yep.
So it does go on, despite what they tell you.
Yep.
I watched the Netflix series, and in all honesty, I just can't believe they've managed to pull off what they have. It's an absolute farce.
Yeah. They didn't do a professional job of framing these guys, did they?
They are absolute amateurs.
Yeah.
You know, there's a terrible case there of two guys being totally exploited by the prison industry. I'll use the word industry.
Yeah.
And I think it's about time that the awareness is created that this does go on. And you know, we've got to stand up against it. Okay, they're over in the States, we're here in the UK, but unless you want to see this thing happening over here, you've got to stand up.
Yeah, my research has led me to conclude it's not policy, it is a business model, the justice system. How have you come to that conclusion, Ben?
Well, I mean, I don't know. As you know, I've got a business involving the telephone system in the prison service, okay? The very people that are campaigning for the rehabilitation and the reform of prisoners are the same very people that are trying to slow me down in my progress.
Yeah.
It's been said there's a kickback going to BT, who hold the monopoly on the prison phone system. It's brown envelopes, Shaun.
Yeah.
It's brown envelopes.
Do you think anything will ever happen to the guys like Ken Kratz, Fassbender, Weigart, they'll ever be held accountable for the evil things they've done to Stephen and Brendan?
I very much doubt it, and I say that very reluctantly. I'd like to think so. I'd like to hope that there's enough good people left in the world that would bring justice, true justice, to the table. But in all honesty, from what I've seen before, from what we see around us on a daily basis, it's not looking strong.
Right. Brendan and Stephen's families are aware this is going on. It's been tweeted out already. Would you like to say anything to them? Give them a message from London?
Yeah, you guys, you know, you're the forgotten victims in this. When you go to prison, that's one thing, but it's really the people that are left on the outside that are struggling. And sometimes you've got to really dig deep inside yourself to stay strong. And I think you guys are doing an amazing job, and just keep it going. We've got you from this side of the water. Keep it going. We will get there in the end.
And Dolores, my heart breaks. I can't even watch it again. I can't watch it at all because my heart breaks every time I see the expression on your face. We love you from London. We're going to get these guys out.